proceed to vote then.
McDaniel,
Aye.
Levy. Aye. Squarts,
Yes.
Remy.
Yes, is that what we're supposed to say, or is it aye?
I forget. You should never start with me, Cheryl, because I always guess wrong.
My paper
here's mine,
says yes.
I'll say yes from now on.
Say whatever you want.
Okay, next item, unfinished business, election of officers. And I had tried talking to Stephen and he didn't want to be chairman, so I guess, yes, I'm willing to do it again if that's the situation. So I guess we'd call for nominations.
I nominate Robert as chairman and Becca as vice chairman again.
I'll second. Can I second if I'm vice chair? May as well check it.
Anybody want to, we got a motion and a second for chairman and vice chairman. Any discussion? I remember the day when we used to nominations cease, but we won't do that, so. I guess we'll proceed to vote then.
Squarts. Aye. McDaniel,
Yes.
Levy,
Aye. I don't think I've ever said that.
Remy.
Yes. Next item would be presentation on the accessory dwelling units. Nancy?
Mr. Chairman, since one of our members could not make it tonight, I move that we postpone this to the next meeting when Stephen can be here and we can have a full board.
Is there anybody in the audience that's here for the ADUs? Seeing none. Do you want to have that motion be in a work session or like we did before?
Yes, let's move that to a work session. Thank you.
Before we do that, sorry, will the contract planner be available in the future to discuss the presentation? I just want to make sure the person who put the presentation together can go over it.
As long as the city wants me to be, I'll be available.
We have a motion to have a work session on our April meeting, but I don't have the date. Let me get my calendar here.
What's everybody's pleasure? Is there anything urgent? Can we wait?
April 5th, you won't be here?
There's a couple of questions I wanted clarification on a table in the presentation, because my math doesn't add up the same way, and that's all. And maybe that would help me be prepared or bring it to light if the numbers can be corrected. Is that something I can bring up? Since it's just a technical thing and it's not about substance?
I believe so.
Maybe talk to her personally or something. Do we want to do a work session on a different night then?
When are you available, Nancy, for a work session on another night?
Well, I'm just gone that week, that first week of April, so we can make it work. Let's talk about dates. How about do you want to move the work session to the end of the agenda? We'll move forward, and then we can discuss alternate dates and questions about the charts, or?
Okay. Let's just do that. We've never adopted agenda, so we'll just move that down to the end. Because actually, if we were going to try and do it before the April meeting, I'm out of town, so. Let's move on to public hearings then. We have a public hearing on Popeyes site development, and Nancy, you're up to give us a little background in it.
So the request here is for a site development plan for a 3,341 square foot fast food restaurant to be located at 330 South Broadway. The property zone highway commercial. It's proposed to be a new Popeyes Louisiana chicken. The parcel is 0.93 acres. Access will be shared with the adjacent property to the north, which currently is occupied by Family Dollar. So to the south is Sonic Drive-In and the USDA Service Center. Family Dollar to the north, where they will share that access, as I said. Property to the east is zoned R2, multifamily residential. It's currently vacant. The project as proposed meets all the requirements in the C zone as far as minimum lot area, setbacks, etc. The requirement for this use would only be 18 parking spaces. They're proposing 35. Landscaping requirement would be 10% or 4,000 square feet. They've more than doubled that with over 9,000 square feet of landscaped area. Lower on the maximum height. So I guess in other words, or in summary, it complies with all the regulations in the code regarding access, setbacks, etc. As far as comments we've received, I provided those all there for you. Really, there was some discussion about an existing sewer easement and sewer line, which will require moving as part of the development on this property. So I think you'll see that as a suggested condition. We spoke with CDOT on this. They are working with CDOT at this moment and currently, but they do not yet have a CDOT permit. So that will again be another condition. Let's see, other comments. The fire department's looking for a Knox box on the building, standard. And really, this project is pretty simple as far as meeting all the existing commercial zone and all the requirements. Staff gives you the normal alternatives as far as you could recommend approval to the council, you could recommend denial, you could ask for more information and table, or you can approve the site plan with any conditions that you believe are necessary to comply with the land use code. Staff is recommending that you approve the site development plan or recommend approval to the council with the 4 conditions. The first one is that all requirements of utility providers, city departments, CDOT, any other affected districts must be satisfied as outlined in city codes or other regulatory documents. The second condition is that appropriate construction drawings and reports for the project signed and stamped by a licensed architect or engineer be approved by the building official and city engineer. Building a permit obtained prior to construction on site, standard condition. And then number 3 is also fairly standard, requiring landscape improvements be installed prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy, or in the event that should construction occur and a CO be requested prior to the installation or the ability to install the landscaping, that a financial surety be provided in order to obtain that CO before completing the landscaping improvements. The 4th condition we added is regarding the existing sewer line easement on the property. So that is stated as prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy, the applicant vacate the existing north-south sewer line easement and dedicate a new sewer line easement. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you. We'll open it up for public hearing now. Anybody here to speak for or against, please go over to the podium, state your name and address, and please move forward. Seeing no one here to make a comment. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments?
I do have one question. Is it stating that the access for Family Dollar will be the access for Popeyes? They're going to use the same driveway?
Yes.
Okay. Because that access is really terrible right now. I don't know how big trucks get in there without, off of 491 without bumping around. Is there any concern from CDOT or anybody about that access? I have a hard time getting in there with my truck sometimes.
I spoke with CDOT. They said they were in the process of issuing a access permit, and if changes are needed, they will require it.
Okay, so I guess that's up to CDOT, so that was just my only concern. Thanks.
Nancy, there's no one here from the company, right? Is that correct?
My name's Douglas Weiss with Sodermore Associates. I'm one of the consultants working with the developer. So to the question on the access, we did change the radius of entry to allow bigger trucks. I mean, we even ran a garbage truck disposal truck to get in there to get the trash can, so that'll fit.
Good.
Yeah, I have several.
Would you mind going over to the microphone so they can record the meeting? And they might be able to pick you up from back there, but you got to push a little button in the front to turn it to green, either one. Thank you.
And what was your name again?
Douglas Mize with Sodermore Associates.
Okay, thank you. Douglas, I have a couple of questions to start with. The reason the soil on premises is not good for, it's not approved to be surface material from where the building is, but it's okay for the pavement. Is that because the soil is contaminated by the gas stations that were there in the past, or?
I have not seen the geotech as to that, but I can get back to you on that.
Okay.
If I had to guess, it's probably more of a question of load capacity of what that footer, the proposed footer is going to be bearing on,
Okay.
rather than the pavement, which distributes the load over a greater area.
Okay.
But I
and
can get
then-
back to you that
I'm
after
sorry.
reviewing the geotech.
Okay, thank you. The slope of the pad, the water drain will drain to Broadway, or will it drain off the back of the pad to the vacant lot and that little wetland that goes through there?
It drains through to 491 to Broadway.
491. Has there been any contemplation or as far as overhead lighting, maybe dark sky lighting, or maybe not that much, but that area is residential somewhat. There's an apartment complex to the south off the rear end, and then there's two homes to the north off the end of your pad. And I'm just curious, because Sonic and Family Dollar aren't terribly lit up, if you guys have any ideas on how you're gonna light the property and the facility?
Okay, let me ask my developer, she's on the
Okay.
phone right now. Hey, Ryan, do you want to explain the lighting concept for the site?
Yes. Can everyone hear me okay?
Kind of, yeah.
I've got you up to the microphone. Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, perfect. We are familiar with developing in Colorado areas where dark sky requirements are required. So if that is a requirement as part of this hearing process and approval, we're willing to take a look at our photometric plan and adjust it to ensure that lighting is not impacting the neighboring residents. So we're happy to adjust it as needed to accommodate that.
Okay, I understand it's not required, it was just kind of a hope or a suggestion. Not necessarily to go completely dark sky, but to at least contain your lighting more or less on your property.
Perhaps shielding is the word you're looking
Right.
for, shielding.
So that's one issue. Another issue I have, and this might be, I don't know that a developer could answer this, but both the Family Dollar and the Sonic are taking deliveries around the clock. And I just wondering if that is your intent as well.
Hey Ryan, what is the scheduled delivery cycle looking like to Popeyes?
It is contingent on receiving approvals, of course, but we're hoping to start construction as soon as approvals are received. Looking like we're currently estimating for starting construction in June and completing by Christmas.
I think the question's more of delivery of supplies. What is that cycle look like? Is it an all-day thing? Is it off hours, once a week, or is it multiple times a week, that kind of stuff?
Yes, sorry, I'm used to talking to the client regarding these things. So in regards to the delivery schedule, we try to do it outside of operational hours to not impact any of the traffic. We are aware the site is tight. We do have, we're working with the Family Dollar store for cross-access easement to help mitigate with traffic through both of the sites. It does vary depending on the market, but it's normally outside of operational hours.
All right, thank you. As far as the pad elevation, would you say the pad will be basically the same elevation as the Family Dollar, or will it be down where the Sonic is? I mean, lower to where the Sonic is? Do you have it?
It's gonna be probably right in the middle.
Okay, so it may taper off a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you looked at the site as it is now, right in the middle of the site, we're a half a foot above the middle of the site as it exists today.
Right.
So it'll probably be right in the, just a hair under what Family Dollar is and higher than
The
Sonic.
Okay. Gosh, there was one more, and it escapes me right now, but thank you.
Any further questions or discussion?
I have a quick question about screening the mechanical and the dumpsters. I noticed there wasn't any elevation drawings of what that would look like, or design drawings. It just showed where the location would be, where the dumpsters would be. Just because it's technically abutting a residential lot, so I just want to make sure that something like that's consistent with being a decent buffer to residents, even though it's vacant right now.
So the dumpster area is screened and will be on the final review plans, the details of what that screening looks like.
We just don't get to see those, so.
Oh.
Any other comments or questions? Guess I would entertain, we've got to close. Any other for or against for the public hearing? We've got to close that first before we move on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the commissioners?
So do either of my two fellow commissioners who asked questions have any other conditions to propose? If not, I was going to move that we approve it as stated. But if you have other conditions that you weren't satisfied with tonight, I could add those.
Just on the site plan, I didn't notice a width for and I'm assuming that you guys are gonna attempt to maintain the existing sidewalk, is that right? As opposed to creating a new sidewalk, curb and gutter, other than right around where the road access is? I'm sorry, you have to get back up.
You didn't ask permission to sit down.
Sorry.
Did I close the public hearing too soon?
No, it's okay. I mean, we can still direct us.
Yes, that's right, you can. No, you're fine.
We don't have any plans to demolish or replace any of the existing sidewalk. There's a couple concrete pads that exist on the site that will be demolished, and there is a portion of the shared use that will be saw cut, demolished, and then reinstalled with the proposed grades. And we have coordinated with CD on the demolition aspect in case there's any other. There's 5 monitoring wells on that site. We have coordinated with CDPHE. They are going to abandon those wells prior to construction. Construction will take place, and then they will reinstall them outside of the building footprint. There's a couple of them that are underneath the building footprint, so they're going to abandon them. The construction will take place, and then they will reinstall them in different locations within the site.
Are they the abandoned gas tanks, or they're CDPHEs, so?
They're CDPHEs. That's a monitoring well system.
Oh, okay, okay, to seepage, okay, got it. Since that's used to be a gas station, which I did not know. Sounds like some fun brownfield stuff you guys have to deal with.
And the internet, or that box is at the rear of your the property, the fiber optic box?
Fiber optic, yes, sir. And so we were talking with planning staff prior to this meeting, and we will be running the fiber optic to the mechanical room during construction. The discussion was that our contractor would trench and the city would place the conduit, and then whenever it comes available, it'll get fed in.
You think I could hire your contractor to run it another 50 feet over to my house? Or that was a joke. I was kidding. It's not serious. Thank you, Douglas.
Yeah, it's more like 75 feet, so don't listen to me.
Thank you.
Anything else anyone has? Guess I would entertain a
then I'd second Jim's motion.
Well, I didn't make one yet,
Oh,
but
I thought you did.
I
I
will.
thought he
I was
did. I
waiting to
thought he
hear-
said-
you hadn't
I'm sorry,
even said.
my bad.
All
I
right.
apologize.
Then I will make a motion to recommend to council approval of the site development plan for Popeyes Chicken on the property listed with the 4 conditions as stated.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Call for question and proceed to vote.
Scorts. Aye. McDaniel.
Aye.
Levy.
Aye.
Ramey.
Yes. Next item, I'm going into new business, bunch of county information items, I guess, and Nancy, you'll present on each one of them? Is that right?
No?
Okay, well, we won't do that then.
What's that?
No, you need to present so we have a clue what's going on.
Not that I know of.
You can make it short, I mean, it's like,
Yeah, I read them all, and they all seem very straightforward without any problems or conditions. They're just splitting up property. That's all they're doing, making 2 parcels out of one.
Give me a minute, I can go through it. There were 2 that were near the airport. There's a rezoning, and then approval of a use permit, rezoning to industrial. It's not coming up for me. Let me get there. I'm trying to remember the names. Yeah, the 2 would be the Circle Z rezones. I had discussions with the airport, Jeremy at the airport, about whether or not, so we may present a letter asking for, if use increases, that in the future, should the city need to improve that road, that the Circle Z property participate to their proportionate share in any road improvements that would be required. So we'll submit a letter to that effect, if that's all right with you. I don't know if you want to weigh in on that. It's an industrial use adjacent to the airport, so that's usually a good place to put uses that aren't impacted by noise. So I don't think you'd have any issues with that as far as protecting your airport.
So the road you're talking about is one that goes from whatever highway that is down to the airport, is that?
Let's see if we can pull this up.
Definitely needs improvement.
All right, here we go. Can you see that?
Yes.
Looks like it's road G.
Yeah, the green is road G.
Yeah. And F, but F doesn't. I would say F and G. You come in here on G, yeah, and then down F. Oh, Jeremy asked about F to the airport. I believe. So I'll have to clarify some of that, but that was a request from the airport director.
So what you're saying is we want to include some sort of comment that they would also help pay for any improvement on the road?
Well, to their proportionate share should.
I have no problem with them sharing in the payment. You're red. Go ahead.
And then, correct, as far as the others, so there's the rezoning for that property and then a use permit they're doing for that property, but it's really to reflect existing uses according to what they provided to us. All the other requests are small rezones that don't impact our master road plan.
But what about the Hooten subdivision that shows a road alignment, and there is a portion of that that's on our master streets plan with the extension of Navajo Street?
All right, I've got the road plan ready to pull up. Let's go to Hooten.
So, I don't know, because my pages are all messed up, but page 171 of the PDF, it's showing a subdivision creating 2 lots and a 5-acre lot. But if you look at our master streets plan, it does have Navajo Street extended as a local connector going up to what they do have on there, which is an extension of Aldridge. So I'm not sure if what they're drawing there is what they plan to dedicate as right-of-way, and why they have something going north straight into a property line that dead ends versus what our master street plan shows, which is going parallel across the bottom and then attaching to Aldridge.
Excuse me, but the way I look at it, is the blue line existing and all we're looking at is the splitting between the 5+ or minus acres and the 30 plus or minus acres, all we're doing is subdividing those two, is that correct? The blue is existing, I believe.
I don't know if that's existing dedicated right-of-way or not, because I didn't see a plat. That was the other thing, like normally we have like a subdivision plat to look at, and we can see what's actually already existing and dedicated, but this is just a photograph with some lines on it. So I feel like it's hard to really judge based on the drawings that we have in our packet here for that. But if that is the case, even so, they would, if they want to be in conformance with our master street plan, which is a condition of signing the plat to allow for a minor subdivision, they would need to have some kind of dedicated right-of-way, I would think, following Navajo Street, which would cut right through. And it does kind of appear like there's already an existing house there, so I could see why that would not be appealing to do that. But just pointing it out.
Okay.
Well, I'll research that a little bit better and add a comment and try and find out more for you. That's about the best they can do.
Yeah. I mean, this is all they gave us, but it seems vaguely incomplete. But, I mean, here's another point. I mean, if they're gonna have to come to the planning and zoning, like we would have to motion to have Robert sign the plat, the chairperson. And that plat's signature states that it is in agreement with our master street plan. And that's generally a requirement before they file. So it'll be something they're gonna have to figure out at the county level. And figure out how they're going to address it, whether it comes back to us or what. But I can't imagine us having the information. And that's not even on the agenda that way either. It's just on the agenda as a discussion, so.
Just south of Brandon's Gate?
Yeah.
Or is it the north one?
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
this line would connect to Brandon's Gate, and then on the master street plan, it shows this going across and connecting right here. As a local connector. It is, I mean, it is problematic because there's a house there.
I'm surprised it's still county. I thought Brandon's Gate on was.
I know it's an enclave, it's a county enclave, Putin enclave within town, surrounded by the town.
Here's the street. And everybody was really nice. So that happened.
So looking at just that one, what comments might we want to add or address to send to the county, I guess?
I think we would need to see an actual subdivision plat. If they want to subdivide it, it would have to come back to us for review to make sure that it's in conformance with the master street plan.
I have the master street plan pulled up there for you
You do.
now.
Yeah, and you can see Navajo Street going straight across the bottom and connecting to what would be Aldridge. Yep, and that's not on there. And, I mean, it's kind of challenging because it's a county enclave in the middle of the city, but there's also a building that would be, judging from the aerial, like if they did that road alignment, it would abut right up against that building, but you know, if they dedicate it as a right-of-way, that doesn't mean that it actually ever is going to be built into a road. It just means that if things grew at some time in the future, that would be an option to connect the streets. So it's kind of a sticky wicket, but it's also what we're stuck with.
Also noticing that the county will be taking this up on their agenda, the P&Z, on March 10th, so they're going to make a decision before it can come back to us.
We can get a comment in before the 10th, though.
Yeah, and either way, they won't be able to record the plat without the chairperson's signature. So if the county does approve it, it's statutory. So,
Interesting.
Looking at that, I think, sorry. That the street plan only goes to Road L though, right? Does it go to Road M?
so do you see that empty white space?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, like right in the middle. There you
Right,
go.
but this property is south of Road M, north of Road L.
No.
No.
It's south of,
It's surrounded by city limits,
Yeah.
so it is.
It's between Empire and L is where it is.
And we're talking
it's south of
And it's-
Brandon's
And
Gate.
it's west of
the
145.
subdivision with 60.1 acres, 60.1 acres?
No,
35.
35.
This is the Hooten one.
Yeah, sorry.
I apologize.
There are quite a few, and we jumped out of any kind of order, because I think they were all okay with the rest of them, but this one is the one that I'm
see what you're saying.
struggling with.
Yeah, because all we would do is add some comment to the county. But yeah, you're right, this one is a little
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. I mean, and I think that would create a heartache for the property owners who are stuck with a house that would be abutting a potential right-of-way in the future, but that could be something that's just way off and never happens, and I don't know how to address it, like, beyond that. But,
Yeah. Which item, the Hooten one? It's on the backside.
I mean, they could reconfigure the alignment of how the lot gets cut up, you know? I mean, yee. Or maybe there's
I
a
thought
slight
that whole
workaround
area
where it
was
doesn't have
city
to be a
when
straight line
when
of
they did.
Navajo, but it
But yeah, the
jags a little
people
bit.
that own Brandon's Gate owns the part north up to Rodale. Yeah,
No, there's a couple of those little reserves in there.
wow. And their purpose for subdividing it, did they indicate that in there?
No, there's no indication, but they just want to break off 5 acres from the big tract if they want to do.
Well, I would say the way that it is now, I can't imagine how it could get approved, and based on just this. And that is something the county should know about.
So then, Becky, are you suggesting that we just add a comment that the county look at our master street plan prior to approval of this? Is that what you're saying?
No, mine would be that prior, that it can, like, it is not in conformance with our master street plan, so, as proposed based, and, I mean, it's unfortunately a little bit stronger than that. It's not like a recommendation. I mean, they can approve it, but the plat won't get signed and it won't get recorded and won't be a legal lot, because there's no way we could say it's in conformance with the master street plan, because it's not. Unless there's some kind of easement, because we don't actually get to see, we're not looking at an actual plat, we're looking at a doohickey. I mean, they could put a street easement right in the middle of that lot, and we wouldn't know about it, because those aren't the drawings that we're looking at. So we don't have a complete application, but it would definitely need to come before us so that we would authorize the chairperson to sign the plat. And we don't, that's not even on the agenda to do that, but that's what has to happen if it's gonna be a legally recorded subdivision. So I'm talking way too long. I don't know what our recommendation is, other than to point out that we don't have enough information to give for future direction to our chair, and that they might want to come back to us with a plat and make sure it's in conformance with the master street plan. That's all I can say.
Yeah, what I'm kind of hearing and trying to summarize is that by the looks of this, there's no way it would comply with the master street plan. Is that,
It currently doesn't appear that it's doing so.
that's what I'm, yeah.
Yeah. But is there something?
But it's not doing it before they split off the 5 acres either, is it? So as it stands today, right now, it's not in conformance with their master street plan, is that correct?
That's correct, but it only becomes an issue if they want to subdivide it. That's the only time that we review anything is when they do a subdivision.
Is there a limit on the number of lots? Wasn't it anything less than?
You mean less,
Like just 2 lots, that it was different than if it was 5?
you know, that's a question that I guess I would have to look at. I'm not really sure. Because in this case, it's like surrounded by city limits. And so, oh gosh, let me look at the master street plan really quick.
There's just something that rings a bell that 2 was different than more. Yeah, yeah.
Let's say 3 or more. Let me look.
Suppose if the city wanted to put in Navajo Street, it'd go right next to the house, suppose what it looks like.
Let me try this wording. Can we recommend to the county that since the subdividing of this property would be in violation of our master street plan, we recommend that the subdivision not be approved?
How about not in conformance?
Not in conformance, that we therefore recommend the county not approve the subdividing since it's not in conformance with our master street plan.
That sounds really good.
Would that work? If we
Yeah.
just attach that and pass that on to the county? Folks, planners, that works?
I think that's great language. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounded good.
I'll work on wording on it. It's possible they could make it in conformance by showing easements on the final plat. So we'll maybe suggest that, write a comment to say it doesn't appear to be in conformance with the master street plan now. We would recommend that allowance be made for Navajo Street, in future Navajo Street. It appears that the other, I don't know what that would be called, Chessie? Already has right-of-way there, but again, without seeing a plat, we don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know if we have to go into that great a detail, but we just say that we believe it's not in conformance with our master street plan, we recommend denial, and let them go into the weeds and figure out what needs to happen.
Okay.
And then what was the other one that maybe had a question or two? Or a Circle Z? Is that it?
Well, this one that's by the airport, we
Oh,
talked about.
Yeah, we
yeah,
talked about
okay.
those.
Yeah, so I don't think there's questions about anybody else.
And this goes in front of the county when, March 10th?
10th,
Okay.
week from Thursday.
I guess we're moving down to 6.
So any other comments on any of them? If not, we'll move on to items of other business, which would be what to do with the presentation on ADUs. Do we want to have a work session again? With just focusing on just that?
I like that idea. It's a complicated topic, and I think that the presentation that you gave us shows us how complicated it was for Durango. I mean, at least we don't have a four-year college, but, you know, it's, you know, there are things that are going to be unique to Cortez.
The impression I got from our last work session is we would continue another work session focused on ADUs, or is that a missing?
That's
Okay.
what I recall, yeah.
Okay. So then I guess it's trying to find a
The time to do that.
date when people will be here. You're gonna be gone the whole week of the 4th? In April? I'll be gone before. So unless we did well, you gotta advertise it and stuff, so is there anything wrong with having it after our meeting in April? Okay.
I was going to suggest April 11th, which is the following, I'm sorry, April 12th, which is the Tuesday following our meeting on the 5th.
Does the city council have a meeting?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's a city council meeting.
Yeah.
Well, we'll kick them out.
We could meet before city council, since,
Yeah.
Nancy, you got to be here for the city council meeting? Well, we would do a work session ahead of them so we could be done and out of here before their meeting.
Yeah, we'd probably need to talk to Linda about that. I know there's, well, I don't know exactly, but stuff going on with the elections, and there, I don't know what's going on in the room.
Oh, man, the election.
I don't know.
Is that election day too?
I don't have the calendar in front of me.
The 5th?
Mike's retirement day.
Well, I'm going to recommend that we hold a work session on April 12th prior to the town council, city council meeting. So if we had ours at from 5 to 6?
If they have, oh, yeah, I was just gonna mention that too, is they have work sessions as well usually, so. We would
We'd
probably
have
have,
before.
probably have to have it like at 5.
Okay, then I'll recommend we have our work session in ADUs on Tuesday, April 12th, from 5 to 6 p.m.
That gives you time to advertise it too. Right. Anybody want to put that into motion? I'm okay at that date. I'm around. Hence, are you around?
I'm fine.
Rebecca?
That's fine.
I just moved that.
It's been moved that we have a work session on April 12th at 5 p.m. till 6 p.m. for ADU presentation and discussion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Let's go ahead and vote.
McDaniel,
Yes.
Levy,
Yes.
Squirts,
Aye.
Remy,
Yes. Next item is, you've got copies of all the permits. Next item is citizen participation. Anybody want to say anything, Mike? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn then.
Second.
Motion and a second. Proceed to vote. Make it official.
Lance.
Who seconded it?
Oh, sorry. Robert made the motion too. Didn't you make
I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. So, yeah.
I move we adjourn.
Second?
Now we got a motion and a second. Proceed to vote.
Squirts,
Yes.
McDaniel,
Yes.
Levy,
Yes.
Remy.
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Boy, that's an interesting deal. You know, and I forgot that